Now, of course, scholarships, right? Always want to work on finding scholarships. Fellowships, you want me to look also into the Lincoln Fellowship at UIC. And of course, as I talked about, merit tuition waivers, NEIU has them. Of course, Oklahoma State University in Stillwater offers McNair tuition waivers both for in-state and out-of-state tuition. So, and also look at other universities that offer McNair tuition waivers, right? That's part of the research you're going to have to do so. Of course, the last thing you should do is work as a full-time employee. Remember, you want to be a full-time student. It's going to be very hard to maintain a 9 credit hours because that's full load as a graduate student and have a 40 plus hour job. So some universities, right, they offer up to 6 credit hours for free for a full-time employee, but that's the last recourse. You should do that. That should be the last resort. Be a full-time employee so you can get um, so you can get your graduate school paid for. So be very wary of it. You want to focus on that last to be a full-time employee. But of course, you always want to make sure that you look more into the internal resources. Each university has a different way to apply for its financial aid. And of course, depending on the funding, right? Some universities across the country, not just within the state of Illinois, but across the country, are facing tough times getting funding. So some universities, say for example, maybe Montana or even in Oklahoma or Nevada or elsewhere, they may have some really good financial packages for students, for graduate students, but in states like Illinois or California, who are facing tough budget issues, they may not have so much great funding for its higher education, thus trickling down to departments. So, of course, always be also be aware of the differences between department and university resources. The university or the college may have financial resources for you that the department may not have. Remember, the university may have more resources than the department because every department has different money pots, right? So always look into also university resources and make sure applying on the first day of licensed schools can help you get financial aid. And make sure that you do the FAFSA form. Okay. Now, the second thing you should always look into first internal resources, then external. External resources are very competitive, right? So one of the first things that once you've exhausted all internal resources, once you've looked for all the scholarships you can within the department and the university and the graduate college, all the resources of also assistantships, after you've exhausted all those resources, then move to external resources. Now, in external resources, there are some foundations. For example, the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation is a private independent foundation dedicated to advancing the education of exceptionally promising students who have financial need. Now, the thing with external resource, for example, this Jack Kent Cooke Foundation, it can be a very competitive resources to obtain. Meaning there may be thousands and hundreds of thousands of students applying for this foundation when there's maybe only 10 awarded a year, right? So that's why we always say look into the internal resources and external resources because it's very competitive. Just like when you're an undergrad and you're applying for these big national scholarships, right? Like the Coca-Cola scholarship or any other type of very big national scholarship, it's very competitive. That's why you always want to look at the internal resources. Also, university libraries have catalogs of grants for graduate students. Also, the McNair office, we have a vast amount of resources for you that you can look at for grants and outside scholarships. And of course, you also want to look into state fellowships, right? For example, the DFI fellowship, the Diversity in Higher Education faculty in Illinois. You also want to look into that. It's very competitive, and of course, you have to do your FAFSA. And of course, It gives you a stipend, and of course, those are for committed to become faculty in Illinois. One of the things you have to realize, though, for this fellowship is that you have to be committed to be a faculty member in Illinois. So if you obtain this state fellowship, and say for example you've offered a job at, let's say, UCLA or University of Nevada in Las Vegas or Harvard, right after you say you get your PhD, and you receive this fellowship, you're going to have to pay this back if you don't become a faculty member in Illinois, right? Or say, for example, you don't want to become a faculty member in Illinois, right? And so you have to be very sure that if you're going to apply for this fellowship, that you are certain that you want to be a faculty member in the state of Illinois, right? Because it is helping pay for tuition and fees, and it is giving you a monthly stipend. So make sure that if you're going to apply, take this very serious. The McNair office can help out with the application. Right, Milwaukee has the Advanced Opportunity Program Fellowship, right? So the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee has this. It's designated to assist members of groups of underrepresented in graduate study and other disadvantaged students to complete their graduate degree at University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. Approximately 25 of these fellowships are handed out every year. The stipend is about $15,000, and it's full cover residence tuition and, of course, the out-of-state tuition. But remember, it's only 25 are given out, okay? 25 are only given out for this University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee fellowship. And there's probably over 100, if not 200, if not even more, graduate students applying for this fellowship. That's why we say external resources are pretty competitive, right? So also another way to find out is through the university. Right. Now, of course, the University of California, Berkeley has a very good page to find organizations that offer funding for graduate studies. You want to apply for that. Of course, the fellowship deadlines. And of course, the National Science Foundation and National Defense. There's some also federal fellowships that you may want to apply for also. Now, loans is one of the last things you should do. Loans are one of the very, very, very last things that you should do as a graduate student. If you've taken out loans when you were an undergraduate, you don't want to pile on top graduate loans, right? You do want to be very, very careful that you don't take out loans only if you have to. And if you do, only do your first semesters while you look for financial support. Let's say, for example, you couldn't get an assistantship during your first year or your first semester of graduate school. You may have to take out a small little loan to get started, but after that, don't get more loans if you don't have to, right? Because you do have to pay those back, right? Remember, they do capitalize, and you have to pay it back once you graduate. So, loans will be, then you will have to pay that back. So be very careful about loans. And of course, one of the things that you have to remember is that graduate school is an investment. You're going to have to make some financial contributions on your end, right? The McNair office is not going to pay for your moving costs, your travel costs. We're not going to pay for your new computer, for your books, right? You have to realize that money will come in my pocket, right? That's why you have to start saving up your money now, or if you haven't, start doing so now. Because once you're done with the application fees and such, right, now, and you get accepted to graduate school, now is when some real good costs are going to come up. Say, for example, you get accepted into the University of Arizona or Arizona State University. You're going to have to pack up your stuff and move to that location. Now, if you're a single person, you don't have a family and it's just you, it may be a little easier just to get, a couple luggage bags and pack your stuff up in there and move out, right, and move to your new location. But if you have a family and you're going to send them to a new place in Arizona, right, that's going to be a lot of money if you're going to move your entire family because you got to send them to a PhD program in Arizona and to move out there. So it's going to come with some heavy costs. So, and also you want to start investing in a really good computer or any program software that you may need. Now, in terms of computer software, computer programs, you may want to wait until you get to school in terms of when you start school, because Some computer programs that you may need for your graduate program can possibly be given for free or for a discount. I remember when I was taking a research course at Oklahoma State University, my professor gave us a discount code that we can use to purchase a research statistics program. And of course, it saved me a bundle of money. So you may want to wait because the professor will probably have a discount code that you can use. Also, universities, they also offer some discounts on computers and such, but you want to invest in a really good computer. So if you had a really crummy computer in your undergraduate that barely works, that you always have to take it to the shop to get it fixed, I think it may be this time around that you just might want to invest in a good computer that can last you 2, 3, or 4 years, because that's how it's going to be. So you may want to start investing in a new computer. Books. One of the good things about graduate school is that you're not going to have to, most likely for the graduate programs, you're more than likely not going to have to spend $200 on some textbook that you're only going to use once. Many graduate programs, especially classes, they're mostly from excerpts from books that the professor will give you, articles that you can just print off, so you don't have to go buy a massive amount of books. That's a good thing about graduate programs. It's mostly articles and book excerpts. Here and there, some books depending on the program. But of course, if you're in the history department, you're gonna have to buy the books, of course, and buy a massive amount of books. But for some other departments and such, it may be just journal articles, which can save you money instead of spending it on books, and that savings can go elsewhere. So you will have some other costs with going to graduate school. So start saving up money. The McNair office can help you as much as it can. It can't help you with everything. As much as we would love to, we just can't help out with everything. Of course, we can help out with getting your application fee. We can help you out with application fee waivers. We can help with the cost of your first GRE exam, right? Your first one only. But other than that, I mean, it's mostly on your own and also we can help you with GRE preparation. But most other than that, the costs are on your own. So make sure that you start saving up money now.